People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for always tuning in, watching and rocking with me. Fridays equals Q&A day. So without further ado, we might as well just do exactly that. Please allow me to answer your questions. If I've missed you out, please don't feel no way. I've given you ample time. I really have tried, but it happens. I'm not perfect. If you want to ask questions, I always ask you lot to give me them on Twitter when I tweet that exactly Q&A questions. Just comment that community tab at some point in the week. You'll see it commented under that, and I saw around 40 odd comments on that. So certain people are listening. So if you listen, you have a chance. If you don't, unfortunate. On that note, let me not waste any more time, because I'm sure you don't want to be here all day. Let's start with the ones that I was asked via Twitter. Live from Planet X is asked, interesting. You've said, do you think footballers need some sort of industry union to deal with racism, since the government bodies don't care? Similar to how Labours have a union to protect their players' rights. Too much pressure on individuals to make a stand with the fear of consequences. Not every victim is a world-class player. Unfortunately, if some of these lower level players make a stand, they could rest their career. You've said a lot of points that I agree with, bro, and if there's a different sort of approach in terms of a union, then I'm sure they could all look at that sort of thing. But I wouldn't say it's exactly a union, but what you're more or less describing, my guy, is the Kick It Out organisation, who do that sort of thing and stick up for players and, you know, talk about what needs to be spoken about. Troy is someone that's very passionate on that. Troy Townsend, check him out, he does his thing with that. So if you're talking about an organisation to do that for them, then there's always that. If you're talking about that same sort of approach and what Kick Out are doing, but are sort of purely just ex-players, current players, and things involved in that, then I'm sure that's something they've got to look at as well, people. You've got a good, that's a good shout. I would say, yeah, they should look at it, but what can they do, really? What would they do? Would they make a stand? They'll do the stuff that you typically see, but what really could they do? It's always going to be down to the individual. And it's like you said, man, if someone, I don't want to say you're wrong for not taking a stand, but if somebody does feel, like if I'm a baller and I take a stand and I do all of these things, then you potentially have to be prepared to lose your earnings, lose how you pay your bills, or have to consider doing something else. It's completely different, but to a degree. I'm not going to go into it, but I'm sure those of you know more than me, you look at someone like Kaepernick and these sort of things. What happens with making a stand? The problem is the problem is as well, people have to be prepared to make a stand, because there are some people who just shut up and accept it. And I don't want to say it's right, but it's not necessarily wrong if that's how they deal with it. If you're not strong-minded to stand up for what's right, then you have to look at yourself as well. What was that? Something dropped. Then you have to look at yourself in that sort of form. But people do need to stand up, because certain people will see it not happening to them. They might not have the strength, and that's fair enough, but they might just shut up. And because I do think let's call a spade a spade. Some people don't want to stand up and stop racism because of loss of earnings, because they don't want to see seen as playing the race card and things like that. Not all skin folk is kin folk. Very true words, people. But you always ask good questions, people. You all ask good questions, but Planet X, you ask a lot of good questions. So you're someone that's got your head screwed on. Love for that. Pogs is asked, and this username is a United fan. I swear this done was just atting me bare one day on Twitter, man. But you've asked, what do you think about the Greenwood and Robin Van Persie comparison? And is a prime Van Persie better than a prime Aubameyang? Now, RVP joined the Pagans, so I have to say, how long did RVP's prime last for? Because if we're real, it must have been 4 seasons max, 3-4 seasons. It could be 5, I could be wrong. But there was that season, and there might have been another at United, but the season he went, he claimed that title. Definitely in his last 2 years, there was a spike in application at Arsenal. He was always a baller. I'm not saying he was dead, but there was a real period where he was at Arsenal for time and it was injuries and he had ability, but it really became Robin Van Persie. Aubameyang's been doing it for like 5 years or so, and you could say the same sort of logic. And now Aubameyang was a bit of a joke man for a number of years, and he became clinical sort of thing. Aubameyang plays for Arsenal, so I'm gonna go with Aubameyang. But for real, in the prime, it's a tough one, because Aubameyang, I think of the goals, but I think of what Van Persie was doing. Like, it's a tough one. If we're being just what strikers should do and just goals and stuff, I'm saying Aubameyang. But in terms of a player, I think it's Van Persie. Arsenal Van Persie, not when he joined the Pagans. But yeah, and in relation to the Greenwood comparisons with him, listen, I don't like to compare players in general. It's dangerous, but I can see where they're coming with just from in terms of how he strikes the ball and certain mannerisms with the ball, and technically, I can see where they're coming with that. So I'd get it to a degree. Yak Zeno has asked 3 questions. You says, does Reece Nelson have the ability to reach the same level as Jadon Sancho? You never know. I think Reece Nelson is a baller and can be a baller, but Sancho has set levels, so potentially not him. Because I see no reason why Callum, Hudson-Odoi, Nelson, and Sancho can't all be options for England. But for me, Sancho's the one. Like Sancho, if he continues, we're gonna scream he's world class. Nelson has to put up them numbers and do them things. I believe in Nelson, but there's levels. You said, should Arsenal go for a player like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin if Aubameyang leaves? Well, Calvert-Lewin is proving a lot of people, myself included, wrong in relation to his goal-scoring credentials. I wouldn't mind him, to be fair. I see him tweet, come on you Gooners, years ago, so he's an Arsenal fan. I'd be more on the Richarlison thing, if I'm honest with you. And to be fair, neither player would be... I'm talking about, well, Richarlison can join, but Calvert-Lewin for me would be support staff. He wouldn't be... I'm selling Aubameyang, so I'm relying on you to get 20 league goals for man this next season sort of thing. I think that would be suicide, as good as he's playing. Last question, you said, do you think Miguel Aziz has the potential to become a world-class player? I don't know who to compare him with because he's a unique talent. He is a very unique talent. He's got a long way to develop, but I do think in the next 18 months, 2 years, he's someone that should be pushing on the first team. World class is a big shout. It's down to him to work hard, and you never know what could happen. My opinion is I see someone that is a player that can play for Arsenal's first team one day, potentially get called up for England if he continues to develop. So yeah, I think he can be a household name for Arsenal in the same way I thought Maitland-Niles could progress from first team, Reece Nelson, Emile, and the rest of them. Saka was probably the most evident. Why not? Like it's down to him whether he wants to be a squad player, regular, do these England things. But world class, for me, when I hear world class, that's Thierry Henry, that's R9, that's Lionel Messi, that's Cristiano Ronaldo, that's Ronaldinho, you see what I'm saying? He's going to have to work very hard to reach that level, my guy, if he wants it. So it's down to him. Tom, you've asked, big up Tom, man. You always ask a lot of questions. You've firstly said, just want to say thank you for your compliments in last week's Q&A. And you've also said, goes without saying that 20k is just around the corner. So although I'm jumping the gun slightly, big up yourself. Mad grind, mad achievement, and so much more to come. And that was a day ago, so you got some perfect timing because we've since hit 20k. So yeah, shout out to you. You are a very consistent one, someone that listens. That's why your Q&A is here. And thank you for your support, my dude, man. Let me hit follow back, man, because you're a cool guy. But moving forward, you said, who would be your 2 obscure inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame and why? I'd go Chris Brunt, best left foot. Ooh, that's a big shout when Mo Salah's there, don't you think? Michu, best one season wonder. Amizaki might have something to say about that one. Tough one, obscure. Put me on the spot, man. I should have read that one. Obscure. Obscure. Where's Morgan? He's a yard man. Simple as. Done what Koscielny in his prime couldn't do at Arsenal and lead us to some trophies. You see what a real captain is doing. I'd say him. Where's Morgan? Obscure, that's a tough one. It would have to hit me. Put me on the spot, my guy. I don't think I can answer your question, my general. On the obscure. Trying to think of teams. Jermaine Defoe. And I'm going to get a lot of things for saying with the Spurs thing, but I'd say Jermaine Defoe, guy, he's one of them, man. It didn't matter if he's an Arsenal fan. Like, I'm not saying you love Jermaine Defoe, but he's man them. Like, it's for the culture, innit? It's man them. Like, it's man them. It's Jermaine Defoe. It's man them. Forget his Spurs thing. And I know Spurs fans, those of you that are old enough, you was messing with Ian Wright as well. Like, Defoe for the culture, man. Like, Defoe, innit? Like, you know Defoe just lived to score goals and talk to them. I was about to say a very rude joke, but let's leave it. Maybe Jermaine Defoe. I don't think who I'd say. I was Colo Touré. I think he was very underappreciated. Lauren as well, if I had to, from an Arsenal perspective. Trying to think, man. Like, Henderson would have to go into it. Regardless what you think of him, he'd have to go into it because that's their first Premier League in 30 years. Their greatest captain, Steven Gerrard, could not enable them to do that, and he done it. I'd say them. I'm trying to think of who's been there for the culture, man. Who's been there for the culture, man? Like, who's just the Ricardo Fuller at Yard, man, for the culture. Benjani just there for the culture. Like, just bear man Yakubu for the culture. Like, just bear man for the culture, really. I'd have to sit down and think and give your question some real thingy, man. Moving forward, Ricky Blaze, love Tom, but Ricky Blaze has said, do you think Oles has prevented the club from moving forward? We're preventing ourselves from moving forward, my guy. Is what it is. Who would you buy to replace him? Well, I would love Harvites, but we can't afford them sort of duns there, man. So, anyone, man. Anyone that you see me make a vid on, I'm trying to plug my other vids. The names we're typically linked with, wouldn't mind them. Wouldn't mind giving our homegrown player a chance in that role. So, yeah. Jam Rocker said, with what you've seen from Pablo Mari so far, how easily do you think he'll unseat current defenders? Big up from Jamaica and congrats in advance on 20k. Love my guy, and it means a lot that the Yard people them are messing with the guy. Well, I've only seen 3 games. I've seen the FA Cup and I've seen him play twice, maybe even 4 if he's played 3 times for the under-23s, but I'm sure he's only played against Chelsea and Blackburn. No, Chelsea, it might have been Blackburn. He definitely played against City, and he's obviously played in the Portsmouth game. I don't know, it's down to him really when he gets his chance to take it, but I do think he has a good chance because he's left-footed. I do think Arteta wants to breed that Luiz and Marie partnership because I think they complement each other quite well. Left foot, right foot, Spanish, Brazilian, common knowledge, common language, Portuguese, and I think he does speak English very well from what I heard. You'd probably both good on the ball, but you'd describe Marie as probably the more conservative one. Maybe the calmness to Luiz's madness sort of thing. They're both experienced relatively as well. Different careers, but you know he has a good chance. He's just got to take his opportunity when it comes. So I haven't really seen enough, but you never know. Mustafi. Last month, if you said Mustafi would be the first defender on the team sheet on form, give or take, you'd say you're smoking some serious spice. But this is what playing well, being consistent does for you. I'm not saying Mustafi's going to continue. I'm not saying we must build long term with Mustafi. I'm saying that it's down to him to take an opportunity, sort of thing. So it's down to him. Clearly, Arteta's a man that will give opportunities if it's there for you. Mama Boo has asked, do you think Mustafi is the type of player that can only thrive when there's structure in defence? I think that's true, and I think Mustafi is very much a confidence player. He has got a mistake in him, but you're seeing the mistakes are kind of quieted up sort of thing, and when he does make a mistake, the difference now has been good. Obviously the damage was done against Chelsea, he made the mistake, but he got up with it. How many times have you seen Mustafi make one mistake and then make more? So I think a confident Mustafi is the best Mustafi. But any defender is better in the structure, really. Like, really and truly. It just makes half your job easier. Like, do you imagine Van Dijk at Arsenal? His quality would still get shown, but they would scrutinise his game to a way more extent than he does at Liverpool. That's nothing me saying it's Liverpool v Arsenal. Simply they have a better structure and it allows better players to thrive and use their ability even more. It would be like when Koscielny was in his prime, and we weren't praising him necessarily for collective great defensive work. We was praising Koscielny because he's putting out fires where we're just getting annihilated all over the field, and he's just moving like Rambo in defence. Do you get it? Sort of thing. So yeah, everyone's better in the structure. Dylan has said, what do you think will happen with our young striker situation? Because we got Eddie, Tyrese, Balogun and Martinelli. Well, it's a good problem to have. You've obviously got Greenwood, give or take, behind them because he can play a couple of roles. There's no reason why all of them can't progress to the first team, or at least 2 of the 3. Martinelli's first team is irrelevant. He's going to be a number 9 long term, but he can play on the left. Eddie, it's down to him if he wants to be, you know, the Aubameyang of the side, or does he want to be a rotation option? Balogun the same, Tyrese the same. If only one was to make it, let's just say none of the English players made it, you have to get 20 minimum for Eddie, 1 day Tyrese and Balogun, and some serious sell-on clauses so the club can reinvest in that sort of thing. There's no reason why we shouldn't do that, because they've all got the ability to do well, give or take. Moving away from all of that though, people, and let's hit up the YouTube comment section. "44 questions. Obviously, there's gonna... Diabolical, another consistent one. "Did you ever get the chance to go to Highbury back in the day?" Yeah, I've been to Leeds versus Arsenal at Highbury. Obviously, as a little youth there, my dad watches football, but he's not the biggest of people's that watches games and that. He's more of an on the fighting thing. But he's a very decent follower of Arsenal. Well, not of Arsenal, football, sorry. And he rocked with man, sent man there and let me watch it. That's why my younger cousins and nephew and that, when I was of an age where I was earning a little bob, by now it's coming to Emirates, taking them Emirates and that, because I wasn't really getting that consistently. Would have loved to have been at Highbury more, man. But it is what it is. Christian has said, "I'm guessing you used to or currently play football, and what position do you play if so?" "I'm a right back. Just a simple right back, man. Just do my job, man. Just try to get up and down, try to put little crosses in. Just do my job, man. Humble thing." One has said, Do you think there's a correlation between the Arsenal ticket prices and lack of atmosphere in the stadium?" Well, Highbury was buzzing dramatically more than the Emirates, but Arsenal have always had some sort of issue with atmosphere. It's never been exactly pumping in that. We've never been the best of fans like that. You could say there's a correlation. I just think you could say that. You could say it's lost its soul, because you still pay a lot of money to go watch tickets away from home, but you go to an Arsenal away match, and in terms of atmosphere, there's less Arsenal fans, obviously, but the atmosphere is better. So I couldn't tell you pinpoint specifically what's wrong with the atmosphere, but I think that needs to change, man, because there's some football grounds it must have been hell playing in. Stoke away must have been a long trip for some Championship sides and things like that, or some Premier League teams, because the crowd were at you already. Anfield still has rose tints, but the crowd can win games before Liverpool, before the ball's even been kicked. And I think fans, we need to do something more to make the Emirates a nice place, horrible place to play at, because it's quite easy to play at the Emirates, sadly. Yeah. You've said, "Are fans unrealistic and unfair with our expectations of the Kroenkes, given the club is currently losing money and financial fair play rules?" Well, I don't think we can blame everything on the Kroenkes in the same way. It wasn't just all Kroenkes. It wasn't just all Wenger. It wasn't just all Glazidis. It wasn't just all Emery. It wasn't just all Raul and all of these things. It's never just one singular point to just singular blame sort of thing. But the culture comes from the top. The years of mismanagement, failings and stuff on the pitch has been married with consistency with ticket prices, consistency with all of the money. We're losing money now, but highest ticket prices and all these things for years. You look at the prices and the money and the commercial thing, Arsenal's up there. You look at the sporting success, it's not correlating. By all means, charge the highest price if you're going to do the mad thing. Like, we're out here charging the highest prices when we're losing to Bradford away and them thing there. Mad. Like, was moving mad. So the mentality, because ultimately, if the shepherd wants to be a winner, then the sheep will be winning sheep sort of thing. They'll be the baddest sheep on the block. Do you get it? It is what it is. BM has said, "It's looking unlikely that we won't make the Champions League again. Where do you go from there if that's the case?" Boy, I don't know, man. I don't know. Sit down, reset basics, tough decisions. Whether you have to get rid of Lacazette, Aubameyang and all these players in one window because of contract stuff. Set it with your young players. Really identify. Try and do what you see Dortmund doing. Because Dortmund don't have mad money. They got Sancho for 10. He's a £100 million player now. Highland for a light change. Probably going to be a £100 million player. And not just them sort of players there. You look around the Dortmund side. Guerrero, a player I wanted when he was at Lorient, who can not only play left back but in midfield. We need to be doing that sort of thing. We need to go and source young players like a Martinelli where they can do something for us immediately to a degree. And there's always that day if it comes, they're bringing in top dollar. If Martinelli develops to the player we believe he can be, and the Madrids and the Barca's and these teams come calling, then we're looking at a handsome sum. Do you get it? We need to be doing these sort of things. Omar said, "Do you think fans are over celebrating the Liverpool defeat?" No, because that invincible thing is still there. And we're has-beens, and that's the one thing we can cling on to still having, sort of thing. So no. Kid Dynamite, "Do you think Balogun can be the perfect replacement for Aubameyang? It'd be a tough ask to ask a young man who has, at this moment, and not made a senior appearance, to score 20 league goals minimum in our A to get the Champions League. He's a decent player, but until he was to play, how do I know?" Eduardo said, do fans have some part to play in a bad performance? Well, at the end of the day, it's the players. It's the players. But I'd say the fans, again, going back to one of the others, we can have more of an atmosphere and do more to unsettle the other team. Big Celt has said, any scouting tips? Bro, I wish I had some tips. I ain't being paid to be no scout. I would just say, what I'm trying to do is have no biases. Like, just when you find yourself with a conscious bias, erase it. Don't assume you know anything about a player. Don't assume what you say is facts. You can always learn something. That would be me. Adrian has said, favourite all-time Arsenal player? Thierry Henry. You've also said, should we sell Lacquer in the summer if we get 50 or more? Yep. Bowie the Cat has said, I know this isn't a specific Arsenal question, but do you think a sin bin should be introduced for blatant foul play, like pulling their player back when a counter-attack is possible? Nope, because I would preach my team to do exactly that, and I don't want to see sin bins in football unless... I wouldn't mind sin bins for another reason, but not for tactical fouls, bro. Everybody rather be playing with no one on the field. Like, Arsenal wouldn't have no one on the field, because we're starting to do that. Arsenal City are two of the highest. Arteta likes that. Pochettino at Spurs used to like that. You look at the South American / Spanish culture, their mentality, they look, I'm not saying they're cheaters, but there's an art for tactical fouls. They're very big on stopping the opposition as quickly as possible and also winning it back almost instantly. They're not really on this sitting back thing. And if they are, you see proper structure like the Uruguayans. Claudius has said, yes, DG, I love the way Arteta is laying down the law. It seems in the past certain players took liberties. As they say in Trinidad, monkey know which tree for climb. Anyway, my question is, if Lacazette was to leave, who do you think we should get to replace him? I like player from Gladbach. Tough question. And I to be honest, I'd more want us to go for a winger. Unless we're the only time I want to entertain a striker talk really is if we're saying we're going to sell Aubameyang 100% in the summer, because I think if Eddie shows he can get double figures to a degree in all comps, if we can sign a top winger, then I think we'd be alright really with Martinelli and with Aubameyang at least for a minimum a year. For Aubameyang, if we're concluding that Aubameyang is sold in this summer, that's when I'm looking at a striker. And there's not really an outstanding candidate for me, if I'm honest with you. I could tell you the names we're linked with or players we've looked at, but there's not really anyone that really convinces me. The only one that did isn't attainable, which is Highland, really. I wouldn't mind Badu or AZ Outmark, but again, there's not anyone that I'm like, raw, you're scoring 20 league minimum goals, I believe. I believe Hayland could get 18, 20 goals in his first year in the Premier League, and I'm only discounting it because he's young. I'm selling him short. I think he would do it. Moving forward though, love for your question. Marble Halls has said, what more can be done to get KSE out of the club? Is Aubameyang the best striker we've had since Thierry? Yeah, he is the best striker we've had since Thierry, really and truly. From the minute he's come in this club till he started, he's not done nothing but score goals. He's hit the ground running. Even Thierry, obviously Thierry's got bigger history, but Thierry didn't hit the ground running essentially. Did it not take him 11 games to score, sort of thing. Definitely, without a doubt, by quite a landslide. Give or take, if you're saying player, I'd say Alexis, because going to the Emirates, there's a different buzz for me personally. Having a player like Alexis, like having a player like Henry, is that you know they're on this thing from the minute the game starts. So if you're saying player, give or take, I'd say Alexis / Henry for me. If we're not talking about poetry and motion and we're talking about crud, them there. But definitely out and out striker, Aubameyang. I mean, look what the man's doing. Out wide, still scoring mad numbers, technically. So love, bro. It's Medji said, DG, if Aubameyang was to leave, would you replace him with Werner? I wouldn't mind Werner, so why not, man? Why not? Somebody's asked, if Aubameyang and Lacazette leave, how would you feel if we went after Kane? I would love it, but we've got no chance. We've got no finances to sign Harry Kane. I don't think he would want to make that move. I don't think we would go for it. He's a quality player, though. 14 Gooner has said, are you afraid that we could start to play poor again and our improvement could just be a positive reaction for the manager? There's always a concern, but when, at least for me, I see what gives me more confidence, that's not the case, is when Emery walked in and when Arteta walked in, and I got a lot of hate for this, our performance, and it's happened under Arteta, we've got to rub it green, but I see a clear structure whether I believe in it or not. I see what Arteta is wanting to do. I see him back in his chat. I saw Emery, half-time substitutions, winning games, rubber the green, 22 unbeaten run, everyone shuts up, but we're playing poor, really. So I'd say, yeah, man, that's always a concern. But what gives me more conviction is that Arteta gives me something to get behind purely from having conviction in his ideas. Antonio has said, what's your opinion of Dumfries of PSV? I don't rate him too highly, but he's an okay right back. South London's Finest has said, with the next 2 summer windows, in my opinion, being the most important, do you think our recruitment team is up to task because we failed to rebuild properly in the past? I do think the jury is out on Edu, Raul Sanye and Vinay in particular. So I would say the jury's out, man. I'm not 100% convinced, really. I've seen us bring in Martinelli. I've seen us do decent things. Summer was a very decent summer, but I still think it's all out there, man. Not just in terms of incoming, outgoing, if we're, all the operations at this club. Vester said, what's your opinion on selling Bellerin for Yusuf Attel? I like Attel. He can play as a wing back, but I'm pretty sure he likes to play further forward in a right wing position. But I don't think that will happen here. Bellerin is someone I'm not going to lie, I like Bellerin, but if someone said 50 million, 40, 50 million, I would entertain it. I'm not going to lie to you lot, people. I'm not going to lie. Faris has said, do you think that the club will be able to sell Ozil in the summer? I think Ozil's here until he leaves, bro. You've also said, who would be your ideal right-back signing in the summer? Max Aarons. Antonio said, DG, maybe it's a stupid question, but do you feel sometimes you don't represent your own opinion, but unconsciously opinions of other people? Is it maybe when you consistently listen to other people's opinions without own reflection, it can have a bigger impact on your own integrity, and you say make or break against your own belief? I don't think you're talking about me personally, but I don't think this personally is a thing with me because I watch football for me. I say my opinions for me. This is genuinely what I feel, and without any due disrespect to anyone, way before I put out a YouTube vid, everything you see me doing, I was doing. I genuinely love football. I genuinely love it. So it's that hunger, it gives me a certain conviction in what I'm saying. Of course, other people's opinions at times unconsciously can sway things. I look at the Emery thing. I knew I was 100% right in giving Emery a 5. But when so many people are saying it, you do look at yourself and you're like, was I tweaking? Actually, no, I wasn't. And that's a good and bad thing because I have my opinion, but then I listen to everyone, it's like, am I tweaking? Yeah, I am tweaking. Okay, cool, people had a point sort of thing. But I'd say I have conviction in my own thing. But that's what I always say. What do I always say to you? Look, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you to think. Think. Don't feed even me, people that watch me religiously for whatever reason. Don't just assume what I'm telling you is facts. Go and scrutinise it. Go and have your own opinion. Do you agree with it? Cool. DG, I don't agree with it, but I see where you're coming from. Or nah, DJ, you chatting shit. Do you see what I'm saying? Is what it is. But good question. Ryan Finnery is asked best mixed race player in Arsenal's history. Oh, what is dog? I don't know, my guy, man. I don't know. But yeah. Apologies, people. I've lost you lot's questions. James B has said, when Tierney's fit... Leave me alone, man. Messing up the vid. When Tierney's fit and takes up the left-back position, who takes up the left-wing position out of Martinelli and Saka? And do you drop Lacazette to put Aubameyang through the middle? Well, Lacazette deserves to get dropped because he's been poor, and this is the problems we need. Who starts where sort of thing. For me, it's I want to say it's Martinelli because I've got a love for him, but it's Saka as well. And this is the problems we need. Who knows, my guy? It's down to everyone to perform in training. If you're doing your thing, Arteta starts you. Tough one, man. I don't know because it's equal, man. I'm screaming Martinelli when I'm screaming Saka. It's a madness. Or we can't forget, who's to say you can't play Saka right wing, Martinelli left, Martinelli through the middle, Aubameyang on the left, Saka on the right. Who's to say you can't do all of these things, people? Who's to say it might just be Aubameyang through the middle, Thingy on the up front, Martinelli and Pepe through the middle. I mean on the right. We need these issues and these problems and these things. So yeah. Bronzer said, "What Arsenal have one of the best crop of young players in the league and has seen for a long time. Who do you think makes it? What impact would Ox and Gnabry have on this side?" I'm not too sure for Ox, but I think Gnabry would have a world-class impact on our team, in my opinion. Who do I think makes it? It's down to anyone. If you're asking me to say on my life, if I had to bet money, Apologies, people. Saka and Martinelli would be the only ones I'd be prepared to bet all my life savings on establishing themselves further. Everyone else, I think they've got talent, they've got potential. I support them all the way, but they need too many arms around them. I think these two players, they're not. I don't even look at Saka and Martinelli as young players. I look at them as first teamers, because their age is irrelevant due to the consistency sort of thing. So yeah. One has said, with the way things have gone since Wenger left, has it made you view the end of his tenure any differently? I mean, what's changed since Wenger's left? We've still been underachieving. There are, not going to lie, he did need to go, of course, but there are some things I was mind blown is that he must have still had us doing that, especially when Emirates was there. Like, we can't have fallen off that much. I didn't say it changes my view, because I still love the guy, and I still think he needed to step down. But like, I don't think it changes the view. I think the only benefit is, with no Arsene Wenger, with no Ivan Gazidis, is that people can try and scrutinise with more clarity as to what's doing what, rather than scapegoating individuals, which at times, even Stan Kroenke and Gazidis, not that I defend any of them, are victims of. That's what I was saying, well, you can't just blame all on one. There's factors. You can blame some stuff more on one person than the other, but it's not just all one person's fault. So yeah. Tayyib has said, how many signings do you see Arsenal making in the summer? Well, I would hope 2 centre midfielders and a centre half minimum. So I'd say 3 to 4. One has said, are you going to play for Robbie's Blood Brothers team at right back? Well, I don't do no trials. My fitness is poor, but if the call is there, then I will do it and try and play a couple games. Adrian has said, predictions for the top 6 in the Premier League. Not a clue, my guy, man. Not a clue. I don't think Arsenal get it, but not a clue. You've also said, who do you think will win the Champions League? Barcelona. Yeah, man. Thanks for your questions. I think finally, Balloon Poop has said Nketiah, or what a name, man. Balloon Pop, sorry, not Poop, sorry. I'm telling lies on you. You said Nketiah or Martinelli. Easy, Martinelli. Adrian has said best Arsenal ever, best goal of all time you've seen scored by Arsenal. Anything Thierry Henry's done, really. I'd say a couple of his goals against United. But you know what? I'd say for context and just remember watching it live, I'd say the Real Madrid goal, you know. Not live at the Bernabeu, but just seeing the whole thing develop and just being lost for words as to how he did that. I'd probably say that, you know, just for the way he did it. I mean, I think that's only happened 3 times in my life. It happened in primary school when Ronaldinho scored the free kick. It happened in this game. And a couple of years ago, Real Madrid played Barcelona in the Champions League. And Messi picked up the ball and dribbled before, like, miss-kicking it sort of thing with his right and putting it into the far goal. They're the only ones I've really been like... Well, there's been more, but it's been like mad. But on that note, I think I'm done with the Q&A questions. Really, if I've missed you out, apologies. Oh, sorry, Billy Brooks has said, which players would you sign in the summer? I'd look at Yacine Adli, I'd look at bringing in Unava, I'd look at bringing in Gravenbeck. First priority would be sign a couple wonder kids. Then it's the centre half. I'd bring in Gabriel of Lille. I think he's been playing all right from what I've seen with him. Toulouse look like relegation prospects, so there's a case of bringing in Sangria from Toulouse. I can never say his name. Off the top of my head, they're the ones that come to mind. There's also Zachariah. I'd like to have a look at him at Gladbach. But on that note, people, thank you for the questions, and hopefully I've answered them with proper answers. On that note, people, deluded, I'm out.